trying to pump the tires a little bit here, bud, but you just keep handing me turds.
You're still listening. This is our final transmission.
Here, Jamie. It's me, Sam Russo. It's you, Jamie Carruthers. It's the Final Transmission podcast. It's one horror movie a week from the dawn of time till the end of time. How are you, my friend and partner in crime?
I am wonderful, I'm having a great time. I've just spent a really productive 10 minutes doing something really important, and now I'm ready to podcast.
Your life is a series of 10 minutes of doing important stuff strung together over an immense span of time.
Yeah, I'm like a really slow version of Vin Diesel. I live my life 10 minutes at a time.
And you're being rewarded for that time well spent with a satisfied, satiated sense of self-service. I'm glad you're doing well, bud. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. How are you doing?
Fucking magnificent. I've had a consistently superb day.
Good. Now, this is the Final Transmission podcast, as you mentioned. It's the month that we're referring to as JAN-NOIR-Y. So we're talking about vaguely noir-related, vaguely horror-related films. And we have
Yes.
one of those this week in the guise of Fred Olen Ray's Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Yes, that is the title of this film.
Yeah. Or Hollywood Hookers, if you watch the UK VHS release, which I did.
I thought you had this on DVD. You got it on VHS as well.
I do have it on DVD, but I watched it cut on VHS for this one because I wanted to experience it in a way that would be rubbish.
Yeah, of course. The worse the better.
They removed the word chainsaw from the title on the VHS release. So it's, I guess, like hookers is fine, but chainsaws is a bridge too far.
Yeah, you can't have those two words next to each other.
Yeah. It's funny because
maybe it's a spoiler.
The box art has
Giant
Michelle
picture of a
Bauer
chainsaw
holding a chainsaw towards the camera, towards it's a painting, so it's not a camera, but like, and it has a picture of a chainsaw in place of the word chainsaw.
Yeah.
But the title screen on the VHS just says Hollywood blank hookers. Just a big gap where it would say chainsaw.
Yeah. Can you speculate as to why? Is it just because chainsaws in that maybe Big Chainsaw had something to say about the misrepresentation of their tool?
No, I think that the BBFC and the Mary Whitehouse's little campaign, Video Nasty campaign, were fervently anti-chainsaw. They thought someone would watch Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers maybe and start a ancient Egyptian chainsaw worshipping cult or something. I don't know.
No spoilers, guys, but yeah. Pro or at least pH neutral on the hooker front, strongly anti-chainsaw.
Yeah. Did they just not know what hookers meant? Because like we watched it surely. Yeah.
do they not watch the films they censor? They just guess from the title.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it was more like, women, stay in the kitchen. You're not allowed chainsaws. That's a man's job. Maybe it was more of like a...
I can't believe you're quoting from your MySpace profile, right?
That's from my journal. I'm just reading from my journal. Women should not be allowed chainsaws. Yeah, that's probably a lot of those factors in microdoses contributed to the vicious censorship of this true artistic vision.
Yeah, I think that this is a landmark film in that it's the first film that ever allowed women to hold a chainsaw.
I mean, okay, a couple of points on that. In all seriousness, if I named my movie Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers and somebody chopped out the chainsaw part of it, I would be furious. I would be absolutely incensed.
Well, they were. At the end of the video, like at the end of the end credits, there's a chyron that comes on the screen which says, "Colorbox apologise, but due to circumstances beyond our control, certain scenes of a humorous nature have been censored by the BBFC. We hope that this has not spoiled your enjoyment of the movie." Did it spoil your enjoyment of the movie, Sam?
I don't think I watched the cut version, thankfully.
Okay.
I think I had the full uncut member all up in my piece. Yeah, it reminds me of my much maligned debut novel, Romancing the Neon Whores of Haverbowl. Can you imagine if somebody took one of those words out?
Yeah. Lo, the flat hookers of my homeland.
Exactly.
That's a reference to Adrian Mole, just in case you weren't aware.
I love Adrian Mole. I want to go back in time and read Adrian Mole for the first time again. What a feeling.
Sometimes, at moments that you might expect, I think about him talking about masturbating and how he refers to it as giving his sperm a bit of space to wiggle around.
What was the American? There must have been an American Adrian Mole.
Yeah, there must have been. Diary
I'm
of a
looking it
Wimpy
up.
Kid? I don't know.
Secret Diary. It looks like Adrian Mole made it to the US.
I can't
it was
imagine it.
published in the US at least.
I can't imagine it having the same impact like the Baz Kent stuff and the Pandora Braithwaite stuff. Like not just not landing, I don't think.
Pandora, yeah. Okay, the American version there is no American version of Adrian Mole apparently, but it is available in the US. So if you're wondering what it's like to be a frustrated teenage boy in the UK circa, I don't know, the mid-90s, I guess,
Yeah.
check out the Adrian Mole books.
If
Harry
you're-
Potter, it ain't.
If you're itching to learn about the Newport Pagnell services,
Then listen to a lot of James Hull and read Adrian Mole.
so
That Newport Pagnell banger by James Hull is a superb song. An absolutely superb song.
James Hull, he's a man that's written some songs, and some of them are great.
Yep. We're doing a great job of avoiding at all costs talking about this movie. Do you want to introduce us to the world of Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, Jamie? How did you first stumble across this gem?
I obviously saw this on the video shop wall and was like, well, that's a film that I need to see instantly. So I think I was pretty young when I watched this. And I think 15-year-old me was pretty disappointed.
Why? Or were you deep into your quest for the worst of the worst of the nastiest of the nastiest?
Yeah, and it's not very nasty. I mean, essentially it's a comedy.
Yeah.
With some chainsaws and some hookers, and it takes place in Hollywood.
Those last three things are 100% verifiable, yes.
Yeah. I think I revisited it I had a big sort of sleaze horror phase in my sort of late teens, early 20s.
Riding up to 39, 40
Yeah.
onwards.
So I hammered loads of Fred Olen Ray movies. There's like 3 directors that were making like the perfect like sleazy 80s horror stuff into the 90s and beyond. And that's Fred Olen Ray, who directs this. That's David Ducotto, who directed Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Ball-O-Rama. And that's Jim Wynorski, who has directed loads of things. There's a good documentary about Jim Wynorski that's called Popatopoulos. And these are basically like filmmakers that will make any movie if it makes money. So at the same time as making films like Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers and Attack of the 50-Foot Centerfold and, you know, whatever else. Scared Topless, that's a movie by Jim Wynorski.
Superb.
They were also making like movies for kids.
Right.
Like Invisible Mom, Mom's Out of Sight, Invisible Dad, My Dad's Gone Invisible, stuff like that.
They found out how to make people look invisible in
Yeah,
a movie and made 12 movies using that effect.
absolutely. And so now Fred Olen Ray exclusively makes small town Christmas movies.
Right.
Because they make money and are super low budget and easy to make at the moment. So they all make...
I bet he's rolling in it. There's so many, like they're ubiquitous right now.
Yeah, he makes 5 of those a year. If you look at his IMDb, like his last 5 years, A Royal Christmas Ballet, A Royal Christmas Holiday, Dognapped, Hound for the Holidays, Royal Christmas on Ice, A Royal Christmas Engagement, A Christmas Princess, Baking Christmas, One Fine Christmas, Christmas in a Royal Fashion, A Wedding for Christmas.
Whoops, all Christmas is his career now. And I would find that quite satisfying, to live the eternal Hollywood Christmas. Just constantly making dog shit Christmas movie after dog shit Christmas movie, endlessly. Woof.
Yeah, he's also like a really big psychobilly guy, like a big rockabilly dude.
I'm trying to fucking... Oh, by the way, this guy that just makes Christmas movies now is also a psychobilly. Great. I'll just...
Like, could you not tell from the soundtrack, from the score of Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, which is scored entirely by, like, California surf music and bad Elvis impersonations?
Yeah,
Like,
but this was 88. I was assuming his taste might have evolved
absolutely
in
not.
30 years. No, I guess not.
He's all hot rods and bowling shirts. That's our Fred.
I mean, I guess a lot of people lock into that style for life. It's not
Yeah.
like a fad for a lot of people, is it? Mikey Wong. You know, a lot of people just grab that blue suede shoes and that's it for them. Full stop forever. And I actually kind of respect that.
My favourite pair of shoes at the moment are my creepers. I'm a big fan of creepers.
You're always wearing those goddamn creepers.
Yeah.
You're always creeping.
So I'm guessing you hadn't seen Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers before.
No. And frankly, I wish it had stayed that way. I hadn't seen this film until you kindly recommended I watch it.
Were you aware of it?
Only by name. Yeah. Like you said, Slimeball, Bolorama, all those movies I just kind of know exist. But I've just had this inner radar that says don't. I've never watched them.
Well, some of them are better than others. I mean, we sort of broke a rule here, which is that we talked about whether we liked these movies beforehand.
Yeah, I just couldn't. We couldn't contain ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I love Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. I'm a big fan. I think it's not without its problems. But the first 40 minutes or so are a rip-roaring rollicking time.
It's going to be so hard, dude. It's going to be rough. I think it's abhorrent shite. So let's lay our cards down early and respectfully agree to disagree for the next hour.
Do you, in lieu of a synopsis, Sam, do you want me to read the back of the VHS box?
I would die for you to read the back of that box. Please read it. Come on, let's go. It's red as well. For those of you that aren't on the Patreon and aren't able to see this visually, it even has a red VHS box. Do you know how trashy that is? Somebody had to make the decision. We don't want classic black. We want red, and that's. What
I think this maybe isn't the original box, because the box says RCA Columbia Pictures International Video on it, and this was released by Polygram via the Colorbox label. So the back of the VHS box says, "Good," with 4 exclamation marks. You have found the front sleeve interesting enough to read this.
Oh God.
Well, you have selected one hell of a night's entertainment, just like the night Jack Chandler, private investigator, took a brief to locate a teenage runaway, Linnea Quigley. An easy job for a guy like Jack, or so he thought, but as soon as he got involved, things literally began to fall to pieces. There are 4 dots in this ellipses. Jack's investigation leads him into the seedy nighttime lowlife that thrives in downtown LA and into the clutches of a demented chainsaw worshipping cult. Instantly, Jack recalls the recent spate of chainsaw murders, capitalized, that have been going down in this part of town. He realizes he's about to become the next sacrifice. Will Jack keep his cool? Will he keep his head? Will the police ever pick up all the pieces? 5 question marks.
5 question marks.
All these questions and many, many more, some of which you didn't ask, will be answered in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Right. Pause for applause, obviously. What that tells me is that the people who made this movie know it sucks. That's abundantly clear, I think. But I'm willing to be proven wrong. That is the best possible light you could put this movie under. That's fun, it's silly, it's all over the show. It's complete nonsense, which is fully in the spirit of promoting this movie, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that they know that it sucks or think that it sucks. I think that they think it is a goofy spoof movie. Like it's a noir spoof.
Right. Yeah.
In the vein of A Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
It is not allowed to be compared to Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, because that is a fucking genre masterpiece. That is slapstick spoof magic. This is... It doesn't enter... It's not allowed in the town limits of that movie. It has a restraining order against it.
It's not allowed within 30 feet of that movie's school.
No, straight to jail if you even fucking get on a bus that goes near that school. Goodbye. No, we're not going to do that. I can't. My toes have curled. I'm physically reacting.
I'm not saying it's as good as Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I'm saying that it's a spoof in the vein of Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. It's also, I think, very actively trying to do a Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid type thing.
Do you think the people that made this honestly think it's good then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, good in a very broad sense.
As in bad.
Good in...
So broad that they're willing to accept that it's bad.
Good in the sense that they made it as cheaply as possible. They shot it in 5 days.
Yeah.
They wrote it probably in less than that.
I think they probably wrote it in the same 5 days. Did they shoot it chronologically, do you know?
I don't know if they shot it chronologically. I would assume that they didn't, because that's not the cheap way to make a movie.
No. Well, I don't know. If you're already doing it as cheaply as humanly possible, it might be. It's not the cheapest way to shoot fucking Interstellar or something, but maybe...
Well, there are more than one location.
They do revisit locations. Yeah, good point.
So, like...
I knew you'd make me think. I knew you'd make me think about this movie. I'm already angry we're even talking about it to begin with. Now I have to think about it. Carry on.
Yeah, I think that they think that they made a fun, dumb movie. I don't think anyone's under the impression that this is fucking Chinatown.
I fucking hope not. Imagine if you rented Chinatown and someone had put this in there instead. What?
How long do you think it would take for you to notice? Say if you rented Two Jakes, not like original Chinatown, but you rented Two Jakes.
Yeah.
Like, how long do you think it would take for you to notice that it was...
Probably a couple of minutes. Honestly, I can't believe that this movie was made with any kind of good intentions. It feels like such a pollutant in the world of movies that I just can't believe there was any earnest... apart from the humor, which, in all honesty, is the only thing about this movie I can say I liked.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of the movie, though.
It's not really, though, because... all right, I'll rephrase. The boob jokes. That's it. I like any time there's a boob joke. Yeah. The rest of the humor is just... It doesn't land for me. So much of it just feels like a complete piss take of the audience. Like, this is the first movie I think we've done on the podcast, maybe... apart from Waxwork, where I've thought I was being fucked with. I felt like someone was deliberately pissing in my eyes. It felt like a bit of a mockery, which, is bad, but always has its redeeming features. So we're gonna dig into that a little bit here. But I can't imagine the filmmaker just being like, this is great. It's so dumb.
Okay, well, let me just take a moment to say, if you're not already following us on social media, you should do that now. You should go to @FT Horror Show at TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Make sure you're subscribed on wherever you're listening to this on. Have your automatic downloads turned on. Tell your friends about Final Transmission Podcast, and also, watch the uncut video version or the podcast version, uncut podcast version that you can get on Patreon.
Do that.
For just
rate and review while you listen. Give us like a start, middle, and end. Does it get better? Does it get worse?
Yeah. All right. So why don't we come back after a quick break, and then we can talk. I mean, there are no spoilers here. We've already established that there's a chainsaw worshiping cult.
There are hookers with chainsaws in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Shit. That's the.
So
you got it.
We're not doing spoilers or no spoilers here. We're just doing Sam reining in his anger and then Sam letting loose his anger after the break.
Okay, I'm going to try my best to rein in my anger.
You've already been doing that. It's time to let loose. Let's take a break and we'll come back.
Okay.
Whoa, holy shit. I guess that's why they call it Phantom Power.
Okay, Sam.
Yeah. Hi.
I want to kick off this portion of the podcast with my favorite quote from the movie.
Just shower me with it. Come on.
I mean, you know it because I texted it to you earlier, but it is...
I've said it about 20 times today. Sorry. I'll cut you off. Sorry.
If my head wasn't hurting so much, I'd swear I was in heaven. Heaven for guys who like big tits.
There's just not enough movies with this kind of dialogue, in my opinion.
Yeah. I know that there's a big chunk of this movie that's unforgivable, right?
Yes.
And all of that movie is when Jay Richardson's character, Jack Chandler, isn't talking. When he's talking, I'm having a great time. Any other time in the movie, I'm just like, okay, let's get back to him saying stuff.
Yeah. So a couple of things about that. We share a passion for this kind of character, right? A reliable or an unreliable narrator is one of our favorite things.
Yeah.
And a spoof B noir movie guy going at it full bore with puns and jokes and double entendres and all kinds of good stuff is up there in terms of like genre things that we enjoy. I like the dialogue, but I can't stand this fucking dick. It just the whole time I'm just wishing it was Leslie Nielsen the entire time.
So I think this is a Bruce Campbell performance.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Like he's giving maximum Bruce Campbell.
But he's not Bruce Campbell. That's where it falls down.
He doesn't have that charm.
It's
like, imagine Bruce Campbell in this
work.
role. Like this is if Bruce Campbell was in this movie, like we talked about him not finding that sort of bluster character after Army of Darkness for a long time. Like him sort of stepping away from Ash and then realizing that Ash was the character that he kind of had to play forever. Yeah. If he'd have been in this, he'd have been doing that from day dot. And that's...
we'd be having a completely different conversation about this movie if it was the chin. Yeah. The I feel like the thing that grates on me about this performance is that it's too much like a Wet Wednesday version of so many great actors and great performances who've nailed the humor in the part. Like this guy isn't a comedic actor. It's obvious. He's probably a fucking busboy or something. But the thing for me is it's like, when you're at work and someone just starts doing a really long Borat impression and they're not doing it very well. And you know that the source material is hilarious and it's making you think of it and it's making you laugh a tiny bit inside, but you're just watching this fucking dork go, my wife, at work. It was
How can you do a long Borat impression? Surely, like, it's just my wife. Like,
no. I keep that as an example. I think some people really memorize some huge chunks of Borat dialogue to bust out at the speed dating, whatever.
Going back to Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, right?
Yeah.
So I think what happened in this movie, in the inception of this movie, is Fred Olen Ray and maybe, what's his name, T.L. Langford. I think that they were potentially watching Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, and they really zeroed in on the joke, which is, I hadn't seen a pair like that since the case of the murdered girl with the big tits. And they were like, let's make a whole movie out of that joke.
Yeah. And that's not a crime.
No, I have to respect that.
It's a reductive kind of cinema to the fucking most ridiculous degree. It's already a spoof movie that you're watching, that you're about to rip off. A really reductive, flimsy as shit version of an entire genre boiled down to its essence. You're going to take one joke from that and turn it into an entire movie. Yeah, sure. I mean, I just think all the stuff about big tits is great and everything else is fucking
I think
trash.
There are jokes that aren't about big boobs that are also great.
Jury's out. Sway me.
There's a being a dick is a 24-hour a day job. That's a great line.
That's not a great line. You're going to say these are great lines. That is the most fucking obvious nonsense. Not nonsense. The most obvious line you could possibly get away with. You've got the word dick in this movie and you're going to apply it to various scenarios to evoke a titter.
Yeah.
And being a dick is a full-time job. That's not good.
What have you got in the box? 24 inches of fun. Come on now.
Nope.
You could have knocked me over with a pube. I loved that.
Yes, I'll endorse that. I mean, I've heard that phrase before, but I actually think his delivery was quite good on that one.
Jack, I'm going to fuck your brains out. I didn't like the sound of that. That's hilarious. Objectively hilarious.
It's well delivered. Yeah. That's a good intercut moment. Here's what I can't believe. I can't believe this movie is so in circulation. Like, you have it in multimedia format. It's easily accessible.
Absolutely.
People know about it. People talk about it. I read this somewhere and I can't find it to definitely back it up. But I think this was rated 4th in Maxim's all-time independent horror movie list. I read that. I couldn't re-find it for the pod. So this is thought of in a kind of end-to-end fashion as being fantastic fun at one end and, complete dross at the other. And people tend to be in one of two camps about our narrator here. It seems to me that a lot of people love Jack Chandler, and a lot of people think he, believe this or not, is the worst part of this movie. He's the only part of this movie that got me through to the actual end of this whopping, 75-minute movie? 85 minutes. But some people out there I've read think that he is the thing in this movie that sucks. I find that just beyond baffling.
Yeah, I don't understand how that would work and how you would do that. How you could watch this movie and be like, he's the annoying thing. Because if you're not seeing him, then it's the temple sacrifice sequence. It's the virgin dance of the double chainsaws. And like that bit really struggles from there just being a severe lack of any dialogue from him. And like in an 85-minute movie, that 10-minute sequence feels like 40.
Oh, it drags like nails on a chalkboard, and it has nothing in terms of substance because there's no plot to this movie really, but there's also no substance. Well, all right, he's shaking his head, people.
We know exactly. We've outlined very clearly what the plot of this movie is. This movie has as much plot as you need to show lots of women with their boobs out wielding chainsaws. True.
That is 100% true. I guess the difficult point is substantiating that plot with any kind of depth. And that's obviously where we get fucked up the ass in this dance scene because the cult has no story. There's nothing to it. So we literally just have a woman dancing horribly awkwardly with a pair of chainsaws that are far too heavy for her to lift or maneuver in any kind of way.
I have such a love-hate relationship with the Virgin Dance of the Double Chainsaws because, like,
I thought you might.
It's objectively terrible.
Yeah.
And, like, Linnea Quigley very clearly cannot lift those chainsaws. So she's just sort of gyrating and noodling about with her arms by her sides. And it's...
Which... The problem with this movie is, right, if you came up to me at school, somehow I end up in Wales and we're at school and we're 15 and you tell me about this movie, I'm all in. I think it's the best movie I've ever heard of in my life. But then when you watch it, it's so bad. I would hate to have had this bigged up and then watched it and experienced what I experienced in that temple scene because it's not fun. It's not like, oh my God, look how terrible and Garth Marenghi this is. It's just, wow, I can't believe it's going on this long.
Yeah, I think the issue there is that it's too knowing as well. So, like, obviously Garth Marenghi is knowing, but it's like poking fun at that stuff that is knowing, or that they're knowing about stuff that they're poking fun at. Whereas this feels really knowing. So, like the temple scene where they're driving around the docks trying to find this temple and they see that terrible sign. It's like... Yeah. In order for us to find this funny, you have to make it feel like it's good. You have to make it feel like it's earnest rather than just like...
You nailed it.
Do you know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was trying to say at the start. Like, I can't believe they believe this is good because it feels like such a complete piss take of people's time.
But I think that they think that it's good because it's a joke.
So
Everything is a joke.
Yeah.
Like they're not taking the movie seriously. So the audience shouldn't take the movie seriously.
Yeah. No, I get that. And if you can go into this not taking a fucking second of it seriously, you're way more likely to have a good time than if you watch it seeking any kind of genuine engagement or entertainment.
I genuinely think the first 20 minutes are a banger. Like,
really?
If it kept the same clip. So obviously we have the opening scene where it's like a woman being interviewed and they give her a chainsaw and she chainsaws up a load of police. That's a great way to start a movie, I think. Then we boot off with a bit of intro to Jack Chandler and a bit of narration, and that sort of sets the tone for the humor. And then we're in with Michelle Bauer, who basically steals this movie. Michelle Bauer is the reason that we're all here.
Right.
The scene with her and Bo in the bar, and then she takes Bo home and chainsaws him, and they're dancing to Elvis, and she puts the plastic wrap over the Elvis picture so he doesn't get any blood on it. That's all hilarious to me.
Okay.
And then
is that scene? Go on, carry on.
Is that scene what?
Is it good though? Because I had my hand in my mouth. I just couldn't.
Yeah, it's great. She puts on a shower
was.
cap over like the very top of her head, like it's a little tiny beanie that one of us would wear. Like, I think it's really, like, it's funny, okay. and it moves. Is the main thing is that it moves fast. So you're moving from funny thing to funny thing without loads of like unfunny stuff in between.
I'll give it that. It is over quickly.
It glides.
Yeah. Why is the blood so bad? It's a horror movie. Why? The thing I find unforgivable in anything that has a horror label attached to it is obviously blood that looks bad. I think we both hate that, right? When it literally just looks like pink water. That's really disappointing.
Yeah.
But
this is more viscous than pink water, I would say. But
narrowly. But also when it's just thrown at the person who's being attacked. Like, it's just being like, woman chainsawing guy, it's just being thrown at him. Woman chainsawing, it's being thrown at her as well. So yeah. I just kind of hate that.
So I think, Sam, you hate any movie where there's a chainsaw duel?
That, my friend, can be verified to the negatory. Easily.
I could think of 2 movies with a chainsaw duel. And you hated both of them.
Go on then.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
Oh, for fuck's sake. And this, yeah, sure.
And
all right,
this.
well then it's 2-1 in that case, because there is a movie with a chainsaw duel that I absolutely adore.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you what it is, because maybe one day we'll do it on the pod.
Yeah, keep that in our back pockets.
Yeah, and that's all of the movies with chainsaw duels I've seen. So, and if I'm honest, the best bit of that Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the chainsaw duel by a mile. Still didn't like it. The best part of this is not the chainsaw duel because it's pathetic. But anyway, carry on.
How do you feel?
We're moving at a clip.
How do you feel about talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre? How do you feel about Gunnar Hansen's performance in this?
Absolute rutting garbage.
I think he is trying his absolute best to give an Orson Welles performance here. Like he's deadly enunciating serious in that really Orson Wellesian way. He is trying so hard to give.
Yeah, it's astonishing to me that that's the same man. That this is Bubba. Like that is. I mean, if this is the soundbite, then fine. But his range is astonishing. He's this guy. He's the cult leader in fucking Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, and then he's Bubba. He's Leatherface.
Yeah.
In Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he's one of the scariest, most unnerving, upsetting, teeth on edge, skin crawling, horror, fucking fearsome, evil bastard, pitiful, sad, nuanced characters in all of horror history, and he's also the cult leader in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. That's some end-to-end shit.
Yeah, so Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers is, I would say, landmark for one thing, which is that it's the first film where they were able to leverage Gunnar Hansen's role as Leatherface. Which,
How do you mean?
like, it's not an accident that he is the head of the
featuring
chainsaw worshipping
yeah, sure.
cult. So this is the first movie that did that after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, obviously.
Yeah.
And then he went on to have a career that was basically blank chainsaw blank. Like, that was his whole shtick for most of his life. Because once you get painted into a horror corner, you become Cameo Man 9000.
Yeah, I mean, but you also have a career, and you probably make some money, and, you know, probably having a good time.
Not only do you get to be like Leatherface, but you get to have all these other credits that follow you around, even if they're just like if you think about Tony Todd has his cameos in like Hatchet and Final Destination, but he gets to be like, I'm at Comic-Con and look, it's Tony Todd from Hatchet or Final Destination for all the kids that haven't seen Candyman or whatever. So, like, you get to do that. That's a perfectly fine way to be, I think.
So why was, not to jump on a Texas Chainsaw Massacre train, but why was Bill Johnson Leatherface in T2, as we'll call it from now on?
T2 Sam's Judging It Day.
Why didn't he reprise the role? Because it required more silly goosery.
Possibly. And as you can see from his performance in this movie, he doesn't really do silly goose.
He's not a silly goose. Say what you want about the man.
He's a very serious swan.
Very serious about his craft. Not my cup of tea, but probably the best performance in the movie.
Yeah. Like I say, he is giving his version of an Orson Welles performance. He's giving, a touch of evil. Like, yeah, you can't.
I know
that
you obviously don't see much of Leatherface's actual face in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's almost impossible to reconcile the two performances and the two humans. It would be like watching the movie Halloween and then finding out it was Wee Herman. It's that different.
Yeah,
incredible, really.
It is crazy to think that it was Wee Herman as the shape
that whole time.
Yeah. Not even Paul Rubens, the actor, just the character.
No, it was Pee-wee. That's what I was trying to say, but I was laughing too much. Pee-wee Herman's Halloween.
Yeah.
Love it. Would love that.
Poor Paul Rubens.
Yeah.
Not only is he dead, but he was also caught jacking off in a theatre.
Which I just don't think is bad. Like, it was a whacking shack, right? It was the
why else
place
would
where
you
you're
be
supposed
there?
to whack it, right?
Yeah.
So what's the problem? It's like he was caught swimming in a swimming pool. Like, fuck you, Hollywood. Give the guy a break.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He found his way back.
He didn't stray. This is what I mean.
Well, no,
this is the narrative.
But he found his way back into Hollywood.
Yeah, through the fucking side
despite
door.
the world being against him.
That's
why he had to wear the mask in all those Halloween movies. Like, he just they wouldn't let him be in.
Yeah, he really had to beef up. It's like a McConaughey thing. He'd beef up for the role, and then he'd lose all the weight for Playhouse. Then he'd go back and do Halloween. He'd put on 8 stone of pure muscle and gut, and then he'd be straight back.
Yeah,
large margin it. Yeah, good old Rubens.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a Reuben sandwich
in his honor.
In his movie,
okay,
yeah.
so
in a porno theatre while I jack off.
Yeah, fuck the corned beef.
I think it's pastrami in a Reuben, isn't it?
Yeah, but less fuckable.
Whoa, easy now. You're saying pastrami is less fuckable than corned beef. You're out of your fucking mind.
Like,
oh, by the way, it
American
is corned
beef.
It's corned beef in a Reuben.
There you go.
So hold on, you're simultaneously saying American corned beef is more fuckable than English corned beef,
yeah,
and it's more fuckable than pastrami.
English corned beef is one of the worst things in the world.
What's more fuckable, English corned beef or pastrami?
Pastrami.
Okay. Wow. So it goes American pastrami, American corned beef, pastrami, English corned beef.
Yeah, there's a gulf there as well.
What about a 3-in-1 sandwich?
There's a gulf that's full of like halal chicken.
Genius. Okay. All right. I understand that more now. Thank you.
So you mentioned the range of Gunnar Hansen and his sort of role from Leatherface, his journey from Leatherface to The Stranger. Can we talk about
It's a sharp downward journey?
we talk about an actor that has no range at all,
Yeah.
and that is Fox Harris, who you recognise from Repo Man. He drives the car in Repo Man.
Okay, great shout. Very well spotted there.
Wearing the exact same outfit, giving the exact same performance. I wouldn't be surprised if he wandered off the set of Repo Man onto this set.
Wow.
Like the only thing different is that he's
spot.
not got one sunglass lens on. Like that's the only thing different about this character.
Interesting. Why is he there? What's happening?
I wonder if he's just because we know that like Alex Cox lived in LA and made movies about LA. He's obviously a British guy, but he lived in LA. So like I wonder if this Fox Harris is just an LA guy.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine the social scene and how incestuous it was. And you know, you read these stories or you hear these stories about the parties and people just giving each other parts and inviting each other to audition for this, that, and the other, and you know, favors, etc. And I like that side of old broke ass Hollywood where it's like, we got 10 grand. Do you want to be anything? Yeah, I'll be something. And then they show up and they do a bunch of crap and somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth saying I don't think anybody auditioned for this movie. This movie is populated by people that they knew. I know that Fred Olen Ray had made a bunch of movies with Michelle Bauer. Like Linnea Quigley had also made some movies with Fred Olen Ray. I think, did he direct Assault of the Party Nerds? And she's in that. And if not, that might be Jim Wynorski or David Ducotto. It's one of the three. And they're all guys that know each other and working together. And they're...
This was the run. Flash,
Yeah.
87. Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowler Armor, 88.
Yeah.
Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, 88. Night of the Demons, 88.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Dead Heat. That's also 88. Is that any good?
Yes. I should have included Dead Heat in this month. It's a vaguely cop-themed undead cops situation.
Nice. Then it's Nightmare Sisters, 88. And then to round out the year, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. What a long, long year you've had.
A lot of those movies would have shot for no more than 7 days.
Yeah.
Like Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowler Armor. We know that this shot in 5 days. Like, she was in Assault of the Party Nerds, but that was actually after Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. But she was in Creepazoids, which I'm pretty sure Fred Olen Ray directed. So that's maybe that Treasure of the Moon Goddess. I've not seen that.
I know she's had a crazy career. She did so much before this and so much after it. I mean, she'd already done Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah.
4 years before this. Party Nerds was in her future. It's obviously well documented that a lot of performers of this era were horribly exploited. And it's no secret that a ton of people were chewed up and spat out by Hollywood in some of the most horribly violating ways we can imagine. That's not really the case with Linnea Quigley, I don't think. She, from what I've read and what I've seen, wasn't treated fantastically in a lot of these movies. There's a lot of horror stories about just having cold boobs all the time, which is bad enough, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she does, in this movie and other movies that I've seen her in, own it. I think she is not a good actress, but that's, that doesn't stop me watching her movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it all depends on the context. I mean, of whether she's a good actress or not as to whether she's been poorly treated.
Yeah.
But like as
Yeah, all right, Jamie.
as say Trash in Return of the Living Dead, within the context of that movie, that performance really works, I think.
Yeah.
It's not a good performance. No one's going to pull it out and be like, oh, here's a posthumous Oscar for Linnea Quigley's boobs. But, she's not dead.
Posthumous Oscar. The first. Does that happen? Is that a thing?
I don't know, but...
Imagine if she was the first. The first ever posthumous Oscar goes to Linnea Quigley.
And she's not even dead.
We're not even going to wait till she dies to give her a posthumous Oscar.
Yeah. We'll give it to her now.
Her performance in that movie,
While she can still enjoy it.
She is floating in a river of shit in that movie in terms of like the performances of the punks around her.
Yeah.
So
but even
fits.
the context of the movie, I think it just works. Whereas in this, because it's a comedy, ostensibly, like you need to be able to act in a comedy, and that's not necessarily something that she's good at.
No,
I think
it's something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jay Richardson, he manages it. He's able to deliver dialogue in a way that capitalizes on the timing, or whatever.
Yeah, he's got the beats roughly figured out. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Linnea Quigley she's not.
She's reading. No.
Yeah.
She's reading.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's literally cue cards by the cameras. Like,
because nobody's learning this shit. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why I guess Jay Richardson gets to be okay, because most of his comedy is in voiceover, so he gets to have as many runs at that as possible. Because that's
in
basically
voiceover.
free.
He's probably standing next to the camera, just saying it into the microphone while they shoot.
Yeah, but film costs money, whereas
True,
tape is pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's really hard to, like I said, in any kind of. This is not a movie.
It is.
Nor is this a. All right, fine. Yeah, I guess it is. This is not a podcast for people who enjoy objective critique, lofty filmic analysis, or really deep reads necessarily. We do go there. We do that, but it's impossible to do any of those things with this particular film, I think.
I mean, I did want to ask you what you think that Fred Olen Ray is trying to say about wider society with this movie.
I thought you might. I think, in all honesty, the guy is a fucking grifter of the highest degree. I think he was really cynically going for a cash grab with this movie. Obviously, it didn't really pan out.
I mean, I bet he's made loads of money from this movie. If it's the fourth greatest independent film according to Maxim,
I'm gonna find that fucking.
I have it in 3 different formats. I have it in VHS, I have it on Blu-ray, and I have it on DVD. Like,
you have it on Blu-ray as well.
I do, yeah.
Jamie, good grief. In the same way that I think a lot of films that we like were just cynical cash grabs.
While we're talking about cynical cash grabs, Sam, I just wanted to remind our listeners to take a trip over to redscare.net and take a look at some punk rock wares over there, so we can
find the worst album you can and buy it in every format available. Redscare.net for all your punk rock perversions.
Yeah, it's heaven for people that love punk rock.
And big boobs. Red Scare is a good place to buy punk music. It's a good place to support the good guys and gals and people of punk rock in general. And it's there waiting for you. Wide open, begging, undulating for you to dive in.
Can I ask you a question, Sam?
Yeah.
Are you sad that student chainsaw nurses never materialized?
Honestly, yes. I've got a big place in my heart for student nurses, and throw chainsaws into the mix. Unfortunately, I will be coming back. Listen, this movie shouldn't exist, in my opinion. It shouldn't exist for 2 reasons. 1, it sucks. 2, it keeps sucking. The more you think about it, the worse it gets.
I mean, I completely disagree. I think that it's a fun movie.
How many times do you think you've seen it?
26.
Fucking hell. That's a lot.
It is a lot, but like it's just a fun time. It's not a good movie. I think everything that Jack Chandler says is funny.
Right.
I think it's fun. It's written funny and it's delivered well. You know the other writer of this, T.L. Langford, by the way, he wrote on Bosch.
What the fuck?
So like he's had a sort of a career of like vaguely noir themed things. Like that's his whole shtick.
Wow. Yeah, but Bosch is good.
Yeah. So
wow.
I think all the stuff that's good about the noir in this, all the stuff that's accurate to the noir feeling, the noir vibe. That comes from him.
Yeah, or just like anyone who's ever seen a noir movie and taken notes. Like, it's not exactly an achievement to write down like Trilby, cigarette.
No, but like some of the
talking,
some of the like the spoofy noir dialogue,
right,
lands in a way that feels quite authentic. Like, I think the character of Jack Chandler feels like an authentic one of those guys. I think it's funny because he's transplanted into the 80s and it's a boob land rather than like oh look, we can see fucking Doris Day's ankle or whatever.
Yeah.
And like that's how the ante has been upped. There's some dialogue in this that's really bad, but is also really accurate. Like the line where he's like, "Mercedes, huh? I bet you're as expensive as a Mercedes." Which, like, you can roll your eyes at that, but if Bogart said it, and he probably said something very fucking similar to that,
yeah,
it would play.
Yeah, I can't help but see it said by someone who would make it funny every time. Yeah, I agree. It's one of the roughest hangs of all time, and that makes it really hard to pull the redeeming features out of it, I guess. I think what works for the movie is its length. It's very short. So it doesn't, while it feels long, it doesn't pummel you with extra nonsense. It has too much nonsense, like you said, but that's mostly like a preference thing.
Yeah, and
some people will love that whole temple scene. Do you know what I mean? Some people will be all over that.
I think that it's fine, but it really does slow the movie down. And like the first 20 minutes, 35 minutes, I think are great. It's like a backwards roller coaster. Like, you start off speeding downhill, and then you have to slowly go back up to get to the end.
I've seen movies take that trajectory and do it better, though. Do you know what I mean? That can be a device, right?
Yeah, I don't think this does that
pacing.
on purpose. I think that at some point, a little piece inside Fred, Olen, Ray that says you have to make a movie that hangs together in a plot sense somehow.
Yeah.
You can't just have quips and tits. Like, that can't be the whole movie. So in order to get that, and in order to maximize the however much you're paying Gunnar Hansen, you need an extended scene that involves Gunnar Hansen and chainsaws. So this is how we reconcile that, and it doesn't work for me. I find it quite boring. Some of it is funny. Okay, the stuff with the bartender like piercing all the gas canisters is like a little highlight in that section. He's the only guy that looks authentically Egyptian in this whole movie.
Yeah. What about the fire dancer lady? Where did she come from?
I would guarantee that Fred, Olen, Ray is walking on like the Santa Monica Boulevard, and she's just a street performer.
Yeah, and he's just gone, here's a buck. Want to be in a movie?
Yeah. Want to make $40 here?
Yeah.
Like,
did you know Linnea Quigley is in a movie called Cougar Cult, and the tagline for the movie is "Cougars eat their cubs."
I didn't know that, but I would almost guarantee that that's a David Duchovny movie. Is it a David Duchovny movie?
Let's find out. It's a David Duchovny movie. Jamie, wow. How on earth did you know that? Take me through the process.
So, I'm guessing that's
you're
like,
a dick. You're a private dick. Tell
being
me
a
all
dick
about
is a 24-hour podcast.
How did you deduce?
So my guess would be that movie came out after 2008, right?
Correct. 2012.
Yeah. And David Duchovny is like basically the only guy out of those that is still making like low budget, independent, like comedy gore horror movies. Fred Olen Ray basically makes Christmas movies now, and Jim Wynorski basically makes only like low budget creature features for the Sci-Fi Channel now. And David Duchovny was the only one that's still doing that stuff. It had to be one of those three, because only one of those three guys would make that movie.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 1313 movie, which is like David Duchovny made 1,000 of those.
It is. Carry on. You are Jack fucking whatever his name is.
Doff.
You are Jack Doff, the private dick in charge of unriddling horny horror movies. Do you want to guess what the rating of 1313 Cougar Cult is on IMDb?
I would say 2.8.
It's 1.9. It looks like, to their credit, to David Ducotto's credit, it's mostly a male nudity movie.
Yeah, well, he's a gay guy, and eventually got to the point where he was like, I have enough money that I can finance my very cheap, gay, horny horror movies.
Yeah. Get on it, boy.
Should we take a break and come back and wrap this up?
Fucking A, let's do that.
Come on, man. Does that thing even work? No. There's nothing out there. It's just dead air.
Hey,
it's
Sam.
The end of the podcast, Jamie. We've made it to the finish line. We gritted our way through this movie, and we're here to tell you we've got one last thing to say about it. Subscribe to the Patreon. First of all, when you subscribe to the Final Transmission Patreon, you enter the upper echelon of humanity. You transcend and you ride a wave that never ends. It's video content, it's backstage bants, it's bathroom breaks, it's Big Billy's blundering ball bag of a good time.
I think you were selling it quite well until we got to Big Billy's blundering ball bag. But I think I don't want any part of that, so I'm going to unsubscribe. Which is bad because I create the content.
Yeah, we can't have you unsubscribe. You're our most loyal follower.
Okay, Sam. My sum up thoughts on Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. I know you don't like it. I think it's fun.
Good.
It does have its issues. It does have some pacing problems. It does have some performance problems. Some of the jokes don't land. But somehow, I still think it's a hoot. A hoot and a half. A rollicking, dick racing good time. It's funny how much DNA it shares with Blood Feast. The sort of generally randomly Egyptian thing.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really make any sense. I find that fun. We didn't talk about the terrible cops, which are obviously made to be terrible cops. I would be remiss. It wouldn't be an episode of the Final Transmission podcast if I didn't mention the terrible cops.
Are the cops terrible in this?
Yeah, they have that answering service that says if you're about to have a homicide committed to you, please call back 911.
Yep.
And then the lead homicide detective, who it's worth noting that Jack Chandler calls the Homo Squad.
Duly noted, Jack. Thanks.
He, like, the lead homicide detective has his answering machine message saying, if you're Jack Chandler, don't leave a message.
Yeah, pretty good.
Which suggests something deeper in their relationship, and I think that's an interesting thing that we should have maybe dug into as part of.
Do you think there's some latent homosexuality in Jack Chandler's past?
I think there's got to be something. What's the alternative? He just rings him all the time to talk about cases. Unlikely.
That's what I read it as. Yeah, absolutely. He's a pain in the ass. He's a private dick that nobody wants around. I didn't read it as a gay thing.
He mostly does missing persons, so why is he hammering the lead homicide detective?
Because most missing people end up dead. You are digging so deep for subtext in this movie. It's reached the realm of the absurd.
I don't.
I'll be astonished if anyone else, even on the internet, has come up with that as a thing.
I'll be honest, I don't think that. I just thought it was a funny thing to say.
I love that you think that. Yeah, okay.
It's a good movie. It's fun. Don't overthink it. Don't wander into it expecting Wolfen like Sam Russo did, and you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, that's good advice, actually.
I give this movie 8 very weak waves of a chainsaw out of 12.
Oh, poor arms.
Yeah. Sam, give me your thoughts, your final thoughts.
Oh boy. Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. A deep breath of arduous guff. Terminally lacking substance. Formless, gutless, artless, woeful trash. 0 pubes out of 1 million pubes.
It's a shame because one of those would have been enough to knock you down.
Exactly. One of them would have been enough to, I don't know, credit this movie with some kind of something, but I can't. It's fucking bollocks. I'm out. Sorry. Doesn't mean I hated it.
Does it not?
Yeah, the boob jokes. I didn't enjoy the boob jokes enough in the context of the movie to rate it in any way, because I could have opened my granddad's joke book he keeps next to the toilet and read boob jokes of a similar caliber, and I would have read them in a better voice in my head. So doesn't warrant a single pube. It's my first 0, I think, isn't it? Even Waxwork got like one fucking exploited little person out of a dozen or something.
We have fun, don't we, Sam? Maybe
I
not
just
today,
never
but...
imagined in my wildest dreams that anything that happened on this podcast would ever be referenced ever again in any way, shape, or form, retrospectively.
Well, you've got your homework, guys. Go to redscare.net.
Listen to all those James Hull songs we talked about.
Yeah, they're not making it into the podcast version.
Jamie has to pay for ads. James, Entertainment James.
And we'll see you next time for more Final Transmission. I've been Jamie Carruthers. You've been Sam Russo.
Unadulterated Sam Russo and Jamie Carruthers, coming at you from now forever for 100 million years.
Yeah. Are you quoting Rick and Morty?
I think I accidentally quoted Rick and Morty. I was trying to swerve doing the frogs thing again because the frogs are in my head, and I accidentally did a Rick and Morty. I'm so sorry, everyone. That is funny, though.
Yeah, it is.
Hot take, Rick and Morty's funny.